Old School Will is back at it again. And today we're going to talk about something that has a lot of longtime cruisers upset. Many seniors are beginning to ask a question that cruise lines probably don't want to answer. Are cruise lines slowly pricing out older travelers out of the market?
The global cruise industry, which was brought to a standstill by the COVID-19 pandemic back in 2020, is sailing into a new era. Once stereotyped as being stacked with the newlywed, the overfed, and the nearly dead, cruises are now attracting a fresh wave of younger passengers who are being lured in by cheaper prices, comprehensive amenities, and convenience. The broadening demographics of passengers on board the ever-expanding megaships that define the cruise industry has helped the sector to defy the gloom that is weighing down much of the travel industry in 2025 in both the US and Europe. American households, for example, spent an average of 9% more on cruise holidays this September than the same month in 2024, even as aggregate travel spending went down. That's according to figures from the Bank of America. And the so-called Big Three ocean cruise companies, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and Norwegian, have all raised their full-year earnings guidance amid sustained booking momentum throughout 2025. However, some fear that the industry might be beginning to lose its post-pandemic momentum. Pent-up demand is at risk of being tapped out as consumers pare back their holiday spending more and more. At the same time, some also fear that a push among cruise operators to raise ticket prices could scare off inflation-worried consumers. Analysts say that enthusiasm for the cruise industry remains high, but cost pressures could test that demand. And whether this resurgence in the cruise industry endures will depend on how well operators are able to navigate between rising costs and meeting constantly evolving consumer expectations.
Now, before anybody gets upset, let's be very, very clear. I'm not saying cruise lines have officially announced they don't want seniors. But what I am saying is that many longtime cruisers are looking at these prices, these fees, these loyalty changes, and they're wondering exactly what in the world is going on. Many of these folks have spent 20, 30, and even 40 years cruising. Yeah, I know Old School can contend with that one. They helped build this industry, yet today they are paying more and receiving less, and that's what we're going to talk about. Many seniors remember when cruising was much simpler. You booked a cabin, you got your meals, you got your entertainment, you got excellent service. And many times you could find incredible deals throughout the year. Back then, cruising was considered one of the best values in travel. Many retirees could afford multiple cruises every year. Some would spend months at sea. Others became loyal to one cruise line for decades. Those loyal customers helped create the cruise industry we know today. But things have changed. One of the biggest complaints from seniors is the growing number of extra charges.
You booked a cruise, you paid in full, you thought you were done. Then a war started, and somehow that became your problem. Cruise lines have been quietly adding fuel surcharges and route deviation fees to existing bookings. Not new bookings. Bookings you already paid for months ago. The conflict in the Middle East forced dozens of ships to reroute away from the Red Sea and Suez Canal. That detour adds thousands of miles to every voyage. And the cruise lines decided you should pay for it. It is buried in paragraph 14 of your passenger contract. That document you clicked agree on without reading. The one that is 47 pages long. The one written by their lawyers specifically so you cannot fight back. It says the cruise line reserves the right to alter itineraries, add fees, and change ports of call for any reason, including geopolitical instability. Any reason. They do not need your approval. They do not need to notify you in advance. They just need your credit card on file. And here's the part that exposes everything. While passengers absorb these extra charges, Royal Caribbean reported record profits. Carnival posted its best quarter in company history. They found a war, and they turned it into a revenue stream. Read your passenger contract before you book. Every single line.
The cruise fare may look reasonable at first, then the fees begin. Internet package, drink package, specialty restaurants, shore excursions, gratuities, premium entertainment, priority boarding, spa services, photo packages. By the time many guests reach checkout, the cruise can cost thousands more than originally. Many seniors living on fixed incomes simply cannot absorb these increases. Let's talk about something cruise lines rarely want to discuss, and that is the single supplement. Many seniors cruise alone. Yeah, I can contend with that also. Maybe they lost a spouse, maybe they're divorced, maybe they simply enjoy traveling independently. The big yay for that one. But cruise lines often charge solo travelers nearly double occupancy rates. Well, you can take out the nearly part because they do charge double occupancy rates.
Refuse to sell with as a solo cruiser. Let's jump right on into this list. Coming in at number 6 is Carnival Cruise Line. And Carnival Cruise Line is a brand that so many people know. It's probably the first cruise line that many of us ever sailed on. However, for solo cruisers, Carnival Cruise Line is just not it. First of all, they have 0 solo staterooms across their entire fleet. And by 0 solo staterooms, I mean staterooms that are designated solely for a solo guest. Some cruise lines offer this in the way of very small staterooms with just like a twin-size bed, while other cruise lines, which we'll also talk about this list, actually offer standard staterooms with a queen-size bed and a standard room like anyone would book on a cruise just for solo cruisers. But Carnival has none of these across their entire fleet, and I think this just shows a lack of commitment to providing a quality solo experience on their ships, especially their new builds. Now, I don't think there's any excuse these days for cruise lines to be building new cruise ships and not putting solo staterooms on board, because it is becoming so popular. We are seeing more and more people go on solo cruises. So why not make it more accessible for solo cruisers on your ships? Why not offer more of those solo staterooms and show them that they are welcome on board your ships? And you're not going to find that on Carnival. But on Carnival, you will find a more family-oriented cruise experience, which will mean more children on board. And I mention this because if you're solo, you may not have kids of your own, or perhaps you're leaving the kids at home. But at any rate, you're going for a quieter cruise experience, and you're going to find a lot of kids on Carnival. However, they will have solo meetups throughout the cruise. That is one thing that they do right for solo cruisers, but you can't brag on them too much in this regard because every cruise line on this list will have them. That's just something that cruise lines do now. Usually in the evening, just about every evening of the cruise, they'll organize a solo meetup that you can go. It's a good way to go and make friends. So if you're a solo cruiser watching this, I encourage you, if you want to make friends, may not be for you. Some people don't like to get out and be extroverted on their cruise. If you don't want to make new friends, that's fine. But if you do, know that most all cruise lines these days do offer solo meetups. So just look in the daily schedule to find out when those will be. So we can't give Carnival any extra points for doing that. Another negative of sailing with Carnival as a solo is that you will have to pay a solo supplement for any room on their ships. And this is because they don't have those solo staterooms. Because typically when cruise lines offer solo staterooms, they're not going to charge you a solo supplement. You might be saying, what is a solo supplement? Well, this is usually a 200% cost, meaning you're going to pay double if you're a solo cruiser, because the cruise lines are saying you're taking up one of our staterooms that we could have booked 2 people in, so you're going to have to pay double for it. So if you're going to sell solo, typically you're going to have to pay a solo supplement, which means you're going to have to pay 200%. However, lines that have solo rooms reduce or sometimes even completely do away the solo supplement for solo staterooms, but Carnival does not do this. I also think that Carnival lacks in entertainment and overall food quality. They also lack in service. So I just cannot recommend Carnival Cruise Line to solo cruisers. There are much better choices, and well, we're going to talk about them. Let's jump right on over now to number 5, Royal Caribbean. And Royal Caribbean is a cruise line that overall does cruising right. In fact, I recently did a ranking of cruise lines that I've been on, ranked them from worst to best, and I'll link that video up here in a card or something so you can go back and watch that. But Royal Caribbean actually ranked number 2 on that list. But like Carnival, they are more family oriented. You're going to find the big water slides, you're going to find the thrill attractions and the carousels. They're not as solo friendly as some of the other lines on this list. And that's not to say that if they're family oriented or family friendly that they're not solo friendly, but just in my experience, if they have a lot of stuff for families, that's the demographic that they're going after. So they're probably not going to have solo staterooms and reduce solo supplements. And like Carnival, you can expect more children on these cruises, especially on their new mega ships where they have like full water parks on there and all the different neighborhoods. Now, I recently sailed on Utopia of the Seas, their newest ship, one of the biggest ships in their fleet, and I really enjoyed it. But if you're, again, looking for a solo experience where you're going to find solo staterooms and be able to go for cheap and not just be surrounded by families the whole week, maybe if you're looking for a more laid-back vibe, then you're not going to find that on Royal Caribbean, unfortunately. Like I said with Carnival, I think this shows a lack of commitment to providing a quality solo.
That means one person can end up paying almost the same amount as 2 passengers. Many seniors feel they are being financially punished simply because they travel alone. And that's a legitimate concern. I've been asking that question for years, for decades. This is where things become personal. Many longtime cruisers spent years earning loyalty status. Thousands of dollars, dozens of cruises, hundreds of nights at sea. They expected those benefits to continue. Instead, many loyalty programs have become harder to maintain and less rewarding. Some cruise lines have changed qualification requirements. Others have reduced benefits. Many veteran cruisers feel betrayed. They kept their side of the deal. Now, they feel cruise lines are changing the rules, which they are.
Okay, cruisers, this is not a drill. Carnival Cruise Line just flipped the script on millions of loyal cruisers. Now, if you're in the VIFP club, you have until August 31st to personally opt into the brand new Carnival Rewards program. Or, wait for it, you could lose your entire status. Now we're talking years of your cruising history all gone. The new system launches September the 1st, and it's all about how much you spend, not how often you sail. But here's the bad news. You would need a personalised email, so there's no sharing, no agent help. If you miss it, then your loyalty legacy could vanish overnight. I ask you, cruisers, how do you feel about that?
Now let's discuss the elephant in the room, the younger generation. And on one of my other videos, I read a comment when I was discussing about older cruisers, and I guess this guy's a little bit younger, saying, well, the older guys and gals, we as elders just have to get over with it because cruising is more for the younger generation now and for them having as much fun as possible. And I replied, I asked that same individual, how would you feel if someone of my generation had just posted the same thing you did? And I'm sitting back, I'm waiting for that response. The younger generation, industry data shows cruise lines are aggressively targeting millennials and Gen Z travelers. According to the Cruise Lines International Association, Gen X and millenniums, boy, that's a hard word to pronounce, are now among the most enthusiastic cruise customers, and first-time cruisers account for 31% of cruise passengers over the last 2 years. The average age of cruise passengers have been falling in several major markets. In the United Kingdom and Ireland, the average cruiser dropped from age 57 in 2019 to approximately 54 in 2024. Damn! Industry reports also show that more than 1/3 of cruise passengers are now under the age of 40. So why does this matter? Well, I guess it's because younger cruisers often spend differently. They're the ones that purchase those drink packages. They buy the specialty dining. They buy that internet. They buy premium experiences. They create social media content that markets the cruise line for free. And cruise executives know it, and they love it. Think about today's cruise commercials. Think about cruise social media. Think about TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. What do you see? You see them on those zip lines, water slides, surf simulators, beach clubs, nightlife, party decks. Everything is being marketed toward younger audiences. Cruise lines understand that younger travelers can become customers for decades if they get them early. I have a question about that one. Normally, your older cruisers are the ones that are more financially stable and can take 2, 3, or even 4 cruises a year. When you start off as a youngster, you may not be as financially stable as these cruise executives may think. Therefore, asking the question, how long will this last? Are these younger generation cruising just for the first time and that's all they can afford? Or are they doing as the older generation, cruising 3, 4, 5 times a year? I think that's one that definitely needs to be discussed. Now, from a business perspective, it makes sense. But from a senior traveler's perspective, it can feel like they've been forgotten. Many older cruisers aren't looking for water slides. They're looking for value, service, relaxation, comfort, loyalty, recognition, reasonable pricing. Many don't want a floating amusement park. I know I don't. If I wanted that, I'd go to Disneyland, which I've never been, by the way, in case y'all might want to know. Might want to feel sorry for old school or something there. What the heck. They want a cruise, and that's where the frustration begins. Some seniors feel cruise lines have become obsessed with attracting new customers while neglecting the loyal customers who built and continue to build. Let me say that again for those way back there in the back, Carnival and Royal Caribbean, all you guys. You neglect the people that are padding your bank accounts for the younger generations who may not be capable of doing the same. Now, let's be fair. Cruise lines will tell you they're not targeting seniors. Yeah, right. They'll tell you costs have increased. Fuel costs, I can agree with that one. Food costs, yes. Insurance, labor, port fees, ship construction, debt from the pandemic years. And there's truth to that. Modern ships cost billions of dollars to build. Well, that's not my problem. You're the ones that have a business. So that's not my problem, that it costs billions of dollars to build a ship, because I can promise you, you're recouping all of that back. They have investors, they have shareholders, they have financial obligations. So some of these price increases are unavoidable, but that doesn't change how long-time customers feel. There are still ways seniors can save money. Well, we can book farther in advance. That's what old school normally does. I try to book about a year out. Cruise during shoulder seasons. Consider repositioning cruises. Look for loyalty offers. Monitor casino promotions. Watch for wave season sales. And consider smaller ships. Oh, that's definitely old school. I have had it with these mega ships. Oh, boy, that's a topic within itself. I think I already did that one. You compare multiple cruise lines before booking. Most importantly, don't assume loyalty automatically means the best value. Shop around. Carnival, hint, hint, hint. So, are cruise lines intentionally pricing out seniors? The answer depends on who you ask. Cruise executives would probably say no. Well, you think. Many longtime cruisers would probably say yes, and they're the ones who are experienced and knowledgeable as to what's exactly going on, because they are the cruisers. What we do know is this: cruising is changing. The customer base is changing. The ships are changing. The market is changing. And many seniors feel they've been left behind in the process. It kind of reminds me of Where is that place over there in the west side? Where they do all that gambling, and they're falling by the wayside now because I think they had the same floor plan. What was the name of that place? Oh, Vegas. Wow, look what's happening there. The cruise industry better kind of listen up. The question is whether cruise lines can continue attracting younger travelers without alienating the loyal customers who helped make cruising what it is today. That's a question only time will answer. Oh boy. Well, I'm old school, Will. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are cruise lines pricing seniors out? Yeah. Or is this simply the new reality of cruising? And as always, y'all stay blessed.